Hello Foxes, and welcome back to my channel. This is Brittany with Foxborough Vintage on Etsy, and I also sell on Poshmark under the name SHOPFOXBURROW. And today I just wanted to do a little bit of an overdue video for you, and that is my January sales on Etsy. So I only sold $348.80 worth of items on Etsy, but I thought I would go through and show you what those items were. I have been listing relatively consistently, and things have definitely picked up in February, so that video will be a little more full, but here is what is sold from January. So the first thing is this 1960s red plaid coat, and this sold for $90 on the first day of January, so somebody was ready for a new winter coat, and I was very happy with the sale. It was a full price sale, and all of these items came from different places. I do not remember how much I paid for each one, but you can rest assured that my cost of goods was relatively low in comparison to the sale price. So that was the first sale. The second sale was this vintage Go game board, and it was from 1973, and this is a Japanese game where it's almost like a, I don't want to call it checkers, it's kind of like a cross between checkers and chess and blockus. It's like a very intricate strategy game where you're basically trying to isolate your opponent's pieces and take the most sort of real estate on the board. And this had an instruction booklet as well as a game board and game pieces, and that sold for $19. And if you don't know, I do have an affinity for Japanese culture, so I did pick this up for myself, but then I decided that I probably wasn't going to read it, so I listed it in my Etsy shop, and that sold for $8. This top was a velvet top from Express. I'll show you the tag. It's vintage piece. It was new with tags. Size 8. It was super stretchy. It was velvet. And that sold for $32, and it was cross-posted to Poshmark, and it did have a lot of interest there as well, but it sold on Etsy first. So this scarf is an Escada scarf, and I've had it for quite a long time, and I've actually sold it once before, and the buyer returned it because, quote-unquote, it wasn't what they thought it was, even though there is a picture of the whole thing, and it says News of the Tiger on the back. And this one, someone sent me an offer via messages for $25, and I was like, you know what, sure, I'll take that. I've had it for quite a while, so I sold that one for $25. And next up is a forest green wool pencil skirt. This is always a classic sell for me. This color and wool pencil skirts, they do always sell for me. So this one sold for $25. This one is from the 1980s. It's fully lined, and the brand is just, you know, nothing special. The thing is that it's wool, and it's that dark forest green, and I always sell those. That's a must pick up for me when I see them. The next thing is a children's item. I do really well with children's items on Etsy. This is a 1970s girls pair of like overalls, kind of like a romper sort of thing, and there's the tag on the inside. It's poly and cotton blend. You can see it has kind of this like textured, almost like bleach-like print, but it was all over, so it's definitely intentional. And that one sold for $13 to someone in California. The next item was a cotton scarf. It was sort of like a bandana style scarf, and it was 100% cotton and just had this beautiful border print. The buyer was very happy with it, and that one sold for $17. The next item was a vintage pattern. There's definitely money to be made with vintage patterns. This one I actually bought for myself, but then I just never made it, and I am no longer this size, and I didn't want to try to scale the pattern. So I went ahead and put that up, and that sold for $26. And it was actually missing a piece. It was missing this waistband piece right here. But I talked to someone, when I bought it, it came from someone who had made the dress, and she said it was very easy to replicate that pattern piece. So I made sure to let them know that it was missing, and they were very happy with the pattern. The next item sold on clearance. So I actually started a new inventory system this year, and I'm kind of trying to clearance out a lot of the things that I've had for a long time. So these boots I've had for quite a while. They're very small size. They're size 5.5, and they are Justins, but I went ahead and sold them for 60% off, and that was $34.40. It was more than I paid for them. So I did make some money, but not a ton. And they were in pretty good shape, but I just love that dark green color. Definitely fun boots. The next sold pretty quickly after listing, actually. It was just a little vintage girl's ruffly dress. And it was solid white with buttons down the back. It's cotton. And this one sold for $13. Again, I do pretty well with moderately priced children's clothing on Etsy. And this one actually, I believe, had a flaw. Yeah, it had a bunch of very faint stains all over it. I put that it was perfect for playing. So this one sold for $13. And then I sold this this duck set. I've had this forever. I'm in love with ducks. And this is like a memo pad holder. You put the little memo pad over the string, and then it's got this little box back here for pens, and so you mount these on the wall next to each other. And I just thought they would be perfect camp decor, lake house, hunting lodge sort of thing. And somebody bought those for $16, and they were not on sale, but I had them for, it did take a very long time to sell these, like I'm going to say almost 3 years. So I just had to find the right person to buy them, and they got a good 5-star review as well. And I sold one more thing that I forgot to pull up. Let's see here. This also sold in January. It was a yellow 1960s dress. This sold as part of the 60% off sale. It had a beaded front and a square neckline, and then it had like this sort of bow overlay in the back. This is actually like a flap, a panel. And that one sold for $30.40 at 60% off, and the buyer was extremely happy. She said the pictures just didn't do it justice, and she absolutely loved it. So that was all of my sales for January. It was $348.80. I do try and list pretty regularly when I can, or at least like renew listings at least a couple of times a week. I did spend $30.96 on promoted listings with Etsy. And from that, I did get 2 orders, and that totaled $46.39 in orders. And that was my worst month with promoted listings since I've started. So it at least made its money, like it at least made more than I spent with promoted listings, but this month has been a lot better. I've had over 6 sales with promoted listings. So I do recommend them, not at a high price. I would not do their recommended amount. I do a maximum of 5 cents per click, and that seems to work pretty well for me, and I budget $1 a day. Yeah, so that is what sold on Etsy for the month of January, and I will be back in February to show you what is sold. And I'm definitely having better sales in February. I've sold a couple Coach bags, some other high dollar items, and a lot of sale items too. So I will be back to show you those. All right, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this type of video, you can go ahead and hit the subscribe button, like this video. I would much appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.